Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Red Tool House. On today's video, I just want to do a quick update on our pigs being on pasture here, our new group, our new sounder, if you will, of pigs, and talk about our plans as far as the boar, separating them, who we're keeping, who's going away, and how we're going to do a layout. And we also have a surprise that we discovered that we have to correct too. So come along. Now, I've detailed this just recently in a video about fermenting our feed, but really happy with how the pigs are responding to the fermented feed. Again, they're pigs. What are they going to say? They're going to complain. But a lot of, the digestion's good, the consumption's good. No waste. With that dry powder, there's just so much waste that flies around and goes everywhere, even when they're feeding. If it's a windy day, if I'm dumping feed into a bucket on a windy day, it sometimes flies away. So this is really just the simple aspect of adding water has really helped. And they are really growing. They're really putting on weight well. So we'll feature some of the specific ones here. So as you can tell, these two white pigs, when they showed up, I thought, well, they're so odd looking. They look like anteaters, and they are just really growing. Of course, their longer legs make them look bigger or heavier, but they're not as heavy as some of our boars or gilts here, but definitely putting on weight. Even the little guy, little red here, who he cracks me up. He is what he lacks in height and girth, he makes up for in attitude. He knocks everybody else around. And then some of the smaller blacks are still staying right with everybody. They're still smaller, but they're growing at the same rate. I really like this gilt here. She's probably going to be my first choice for breeding. So we're going to keep her back, and still looking at some of the black gilts we'll be keeping. The two whites, of course, are barrows, so they're not going to stay. And there's a beautiful black gilt in here. I think this may be her right in front of me. No, that's one of my boars. So that's one of the boars there. And this, I believe, is the gilt. Yeah. So this is a gilt. And look at the size of her compared to even the boar. So gilt, boar, and she's just as big as they are. So she has some really good potential there, I believe. So a funny story here that Kelly doesn't think so funny, so she's going to have to help me with it, is doing one of the videos, actually just one of the videos about the fence, and I did a close-up shot of the pigs up on the pasture, and just a nice little shot, and I'm going back in post-production editing that, and I noticed one of the blacks. I'm like, wait a minute, it looks like he's carrying a wallet on his back hip there. And on closer inspection, discover that he has one testicle remaining. So he was a barrow that may have, when 6-oak castrated, it may have not been descended to that point. So they thought maybe he was just a one testicle, or just missed in the foray of castrating a bunch of pigs. So we've got one that is he's still packing. So right now we have 2.5 boars, which is no bueno. We're going to have to take care of that. I'm trying to find him. I can't find him here. It's a little too dark in the barn. He's out in the sunlight and he's not hunched over eating. It's a little bit easier to see. Well, I've offended him. I turned the camera off there to grab him and see. And interestingly enough, and I can't get close to him and film at the same time and grab hold of him, but I may be mistaken. And instead of editing that out, I'm just gonna leave that in, because this is just kind of part of it, is figuring out what's going on physiologically with your swine. But I'll show you the still shot that I used for the thumbnail. Show that close up, and you can see what looks to be a testicle. But this pig right here, along the back fence, when I just grabbed him by his back legs and held him up and looked at him, it's actually much lower. It's It's a knot that's lower than where the testicle would be. And right now it's actually got a scab on it. So it may have just been a growth or some sort of cyst that's either ruptured on its own or somebody's helped him. But he didn't like me messing with it. Of course, he didn't like being hung by his back legs either. So we get closer to figuring something out this week, we'll isolate him and be able to get him down and really check him out. Again, it's early in the morning, dark in the barn here, so I'm not going to mess with him too much. He's already ticked off at me. Come hither, swine. Come on. Come on. Come on. That pig is so afraid of electric wire. I don't know if that's in the camera shot or not. See how she goes up and around? She's going around my ground rods. My ground wire goes right up the hill there. There's 3 rods in the ground. And it's just small ground wire laying on the ground. She will not step over it. So she walks up and around. So, again, comments as to why this big old sow is still on the farm. Honestly, I know psychologically it's probably more to it, but if you go back to our videos, we processed the other 3. She wouldn't get on the trailer because of her fear of the barn, blah, blah, blah. So we left her behind thinking, I will process her on farm. Got all of our pork back from the processing of 3, and my freezers are completely full. I shut down my walk-in simply because of its energy consumption. So if I'd fire it back up, obviously I could house more pork. But right now I've got 4 chest freezers, or four freezers, three chests, 1 upright, completely full. And we're still selling our pork, so as that diminishes, we may make some room. But right now, if I processed her, I would have absolutely nowhere to put her, unless I fired up the walk-in, which I don't want to do. Now, I've gotten some great suggestions from you all on what to do with her, and I think I'm going to follow one of them. And we'll go to this next spot, and I'll show you what we're talking about. So as you know, if you've been with the channel for just a little bit, you know that we have 2 boars when I really only wanted 1, and been debating, who do I keep? Do I keep them both? How does that work out? Well, again, a lot of good input from you guys and a lot of thinking and processing on that. I think I am going to keep them both for now, and we're going to separate them. In fact, that's the next project we have, is separating them from the gilts, of course. Stupid deer standing there looking at me. So we're going to separate them from the gilts, and we're going to get them further up the valley. I had posted a video where I showed this area and asked for your all's advice, but and again, good advice. I'm going to move the 2 boars here. So where you see the side by side, this road, there's a stream that comes through the middle. This area here up to the next bench, which is just a flat spot up the side of the mountain. That's what we call these terraces. This next bench, and be able to fence all this off. And this makes a pretty good size. This would be probably 2 acres of pasture. But I'm going to plan on fencing all this off. But for right now, just for the meantime, I want to bust this up into smaller paddocks, and just have the boars on this first one. I'll show you what we have here. So you can see way down there you can see the orange of my 2-ton feeder. You can see the tractor, you can see the roof of the barn. So that's how far away the pigs are right now. This hole of water right here is actually at my Stone Creek crossing. It's part of the road that just goes right up. You can see it going right up the mountain there. The house sits back there. So this is a corner that I'm going to start to be part of this pasture. The fence will be the left side of this road. So I'll have this little flat spot, and again, in West Virginia, flat is premium. So we've got an area where the creek's coming down, kind of makes a left turn, then makes a right turn. This another watershed ties into it here and goes on down. So we've got a nice little flat spot here. So the plan is to make a loading area. So we'll have some solid wooden fence here. Obviously we'll have our electric coming in and tying in, but we'll have a section here that won't be electrified. And what that'll allow me to do is when it's time to transport the boars up, I can bring them up in a small utility trailer, pull them in, dump them off, bang, they can go. And also have a corral area here for feeding. Many of you had mentioned taking the boar to the gilts, and many of you had mentioned taking the gilts to the boar. So we want to have this corral to allow us to do either. So I can back a trailer in with some gilts, bang, ready to go, or I can back a trailer in, load the boars, and take them on down if the gilts are on that side. Probably right now going to keep gilts on the south side as we open up more of this woodlot for them to access. And then, like I said, we'll just keep the boars. I think I can bust this up at least into 2 paddocks, maybe even 3, and still accommodate 2 guys hanging out. So that leaves the question of what to do with Merida. And right now, I think I'm going to fold her in with the boars. And it'll be curious to see if, when she gets into heat, the boars breed her and see how she takes. It'll just be, I guess, one last test. And maybe I've tested too much, but we'll just see how natural breeding and letting her farrow out and about in the warmer months, see how that does. So yeah, I'll keep you posted on that, of course. So the neat thing about this first paddock area that'll come up and then come back down, I'm still trying to determine where I want that line to come down. I have a natural clearing here. It's not natural, I made it. Clearing there that stops. You can see where these treetops are down. That's where we shoot clays sometimes. We're throwing the clays toward the camera, shooting those. So probably run that fence down through here, let it cross over these watersheds somewhere, and again, like I said, tie into my corral here. But that'll give them access to watershed water, and then also access to the main creek. This area of the creek, like this hole of water, it has water in it pretty much 12 months out of the year. Some of these others, they start to dry out a little bit if we have a dry August. But tons and tons of white oak in here. And the only problem I have is there's really not any flat ground. I mean, there's potential for a flat spot right there where I could put a small shelter. Even though we're coming into the warm months, I still like having a shelter for them to go to and congregate, and just kind of helps draw them together if we need to. So to get bearings again. So check this out. This is crazy. So see all this water right here that you can see it's running. So it's like a little stream, but there's no stream. It's coming straight out of the ground right here. So right here in various places, and then easily noticeable right here. You see it is rolling. So this whole area, that's why my road stays constantly wet here. So the plan is to take advantage of that, of course, or at least get it out of my road so I can get my road dry. But I need to come in here with the tractor or a small piece of equipment and unearth that, discover where those actual outlets are. Looks like there's one. You can see it boiling up a little bit right here. But get those outlets exposed, and even if for right now it's just ditching that, putting a culvert in so I can at least have have a dry road and just let the water continue to drain. But my goodness, that's extremely clean water coming out of the side of the mountain. And it doesn't run this much in the summertime, but it still runs. This is always a muddy spot 12 months out of the year. So need to find a way to capture that water. So that's the beauty of West Virginia. There are springs everywhere. Okay, so opposite side. So down there where the water's running, the spring, that's the flat spot I was talking about. I was standing right down there. So we're now back up the hill. This is the area where we shoot clays. But you can see there's a lot of white oak. This is our bench going back toward the house. So this area up to about right here is where I'd fence off and then turn and follow the road back. That's my son's bushcraft bivouac he had made at one point, so he's got to clean that up before we let pigs in there. So again, not a lot of flat area. There's actually a spot right here where look at the deer have been busting up hickory nuts here. Or the squirrel burying them. No, it's super soft. It's probably the squirrel burying them in old stump spot. Anyway, so there's an old road right away. I don't know to make you all sick by walking around with the camera here. the original road right away before the timber guys came in is right here. So it's a natural little flat spot that would be inside the corral area. Let me get down on it so you can see the elevation. You can see that cut comes right through here, big boulder. But there's a flat spot right there that I think, since it's real close to the road, I can just put a shelter there and be building a portable shelter that can be skidded. Just have it on some 6x6 beams as a base. Make it so it's skiddable, and then just be able to drag it around where we need to. And just be a 3-sided shelter that the boars could come and go. So I think that's going to be the plan. So I've got the boys, actually, they've started a brush pile right there on that little flat spot. I've dangled some financial contributions in their direction. If they get in here and clear out all this small sapling, basically just drop everything small, and we can get some sunlight on it. When this greens out, it's really dense. That's why you can see there's no grass anywhere on it. It really gets dense. So clean that out. And of course we'll leave the white oak and hickory canopy intact. If they take a lot of this small stuff out, we can get some sunlight in here. This is the north ridge, so the sun, this is south facing, so this gets all the sun. So this will be really good for production of pasture grass when the time comes, as you can see over here with the rest of the hillside. It's been cleared. So that's the update. That's the plan we've got so far. Obviously, things in Red Toolhouse are written in pencil, maybe even invisible ink, I'm not sure. But we'll obviously keep everyone updated as we go along, and we'll document these projects as we do them. All right, take care, everybody.